Welcome to Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi, a podcast that showcases people you may not know who are choosing to use their gifts to inspire and move the planet.
Thank you so much for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah, Talking with Tammi. My guest, Patricia Heitz, is here, and I'm super excited that she has decided to join me here to talk about herself today and who she is and what she does. So, Patricia, take it away.
Okay. Well, so my name is Patricia Heitz, and I wrote a book called Daydreams Come True after I was diagnosed with kidney cancer back in 2002. And as anybody who's ever been through a cancer diagnosis will tell you, literally your life flashes in front of you and you start looking at what your life is about and what's really important and what's not. For me, I needed to understand how I got this disease. How did this happen? And so I started to read every mind, body, wellness book, or audio tape or whatever. Back then it was the little Walkman,
Yeah.
Walking every day. And I needed to understand how we create disease in our body. And I was just like amazed at what I found out. It's really all about what we believe and the negative energy that we hold on to based on what we believe about ourselves, because most of us believe negative things about ourselves. We're not enough of this, or not enough of that, or we're not pretty enough, or we're not wealthy enough, or we don't have a good enough job, or, the list is endless. And I realized what my belief was that had contributed to my kidney cancer. And I just had to know more. And so since 2002, I've been studying this, and I've really changed my life. My life is very different now. I'm so much more of a happier person. Everything in my life is so much better because I changed what I believed about myself.
That is powerful. That is powerful. Talk about the feelings that you had around when you found out about the kidney cancer. And I want you to relate it to your father-in-law.
So what was really mind-blowing, why I really decided that I needed to know more about this, is that my father-in-law had died from kidney cancer only 10 months prior to my being diagnosed. And I thought, this can't be a coincidence. I'm not related to this person. So, well, the first thing is, the fear is because he died. So the first thing is, oh my God, I had young children at the time, and oh my God, I can't leave my kids. So that was really what spurred me to I have to know more about this. What is the connection here? And so while I was recuperating from my kidney surgery, because they took my kidney, someone gave me a book called You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Yes.
Love Louise Hay.
Yes.
That was the first book that was such an aha moment for me. And I read it. And when I got to the part where she asks you, why do you need to have this?
Yes.
And why do I need to have this disease? And I realized that during the time that my father-in-law was dying of kidney cancer, which, the process went on for 2 or 3 years because the tumors would just pop up in different parts of his body. They would radiate it, it would go away, and then something would pop up another place. And so this went on until it eventually took his life. But when this was going on, he told us that he was going to leave us a substantial amount of money that he had inherited from his father. And I thought, oh, yay, we can get a new house, because we had this small, teeny house, and I wanted a bigger house for my growing family. But then I kept doing, every time I thought about it, I would do this devil angel thing, oh, you're such a terrible person. You're like hoping that he, dies so you can get that money. Then I feel like really bad about that. And then I think, oh, this is terrible that I'm thinking this way. And then, I'd have a bad day with our house, like everybody all crowded. I'm like, oh, when my father-in-law dies, I'll get that money. And then I beat myself up again. And this went back and forth and back and forth. And I had grown up in a dysfunctional alcoholic household. So there was a lot of anger. There was a lot of negative energy that I had already stored in my body. But I believe that when I read that, why do you need this? I needed to take that energy, that negative energy that was stuck and that I was holding on to, all that anger in my body. And I had to create kidney cancer with it because that was the disease that my father-in-law died from. And I had to punish myself for being such an awful person, of wanting him to die so we could get money to buy our house. So that was the aha moment that came to me when I was reading Louise Hay's book. And that was just like, I can't even explain the feeling of when I realized, like, oh my God, I took on this disease because I hate myself so much. It was like a lightning bolt struck me and went through my body. It was just unbelievable. And then from that moment on, I thought, if I could contribute it to a disease in my body because I hate myself, what could I do if I loved myself? Like, wow, what could I create in my world that would be so amazing if I loved myself? So that's what I really had to find that out. And I've created an amazing, different life because I've learned how to heal those wounds and then create a self-love. I healed my wounds. I found out what I loved about myself. I embraced myself. And I started a relationship with myself, and my life is just amazing now. I love my life.
That is amazing, because the thing is I think a lot of times people don't realize just what you said. You create your life.
Mm-hmm. You do. Absolutely.
And I find in that, people don't always believe, because the thing that I found in my work is that people, that you expect to believe, don't believe.
No.
Like I was talking to some people that I know, and I call them super Christian because that's what they are. But when I talk to them about healing, and they talk about healing, when they go to church and all that,
mm-hmm.
but they don't believe. They don't believe that it's your beliefs that keep you sick and keep you in, these states.
So whatever thought is created in your mind creates an energy in your body.
Yes.
That is a negative thought that creates a negative energy in your body. And
yes.
That's why people who are under stress all the time, that's such a negative energy that's created. Like, people have heart attacks.
Yes.
People, like for me, I created kidney cancer. Other people have other cancers there because that energy, it has to go someplace. And if you don't heal it and deal with it and look at it straight in the eye and say, that is not true. I don't want to believe that. I'm better than that. And just take it apart. If you don't take it apart, you hold on to it, and that negative energy will block the energy that keeps your organs alive, that keeps your cells dividing, that keeps your blood flowing. So it's so important to go back and look at what you believe. When something happens in your life, you have to stop and ask yourself, why did this happen? What do I believe about myself that would cause this to happen in my life? Because instead, it's always about what we believe. Everything is about what we believe.
Yes. And that is that a part of the work that you're now doing? Because I can see that.
Yes. So I help people change their belief system. The first thing in my book is different in that it's a workbook. It's not just like a self-help book that you read and it gives you advice. The book is less about me and my story and really more about the reader, because it asks very pointed questions to make you think and make you really go deep and have some big realizations so that you can change your belief system. So we start with, what do you want? And then why don't you already have it? And you can't blame anyone else, because it's always in your power to change whatever's going on in your life. And then we start breaking down, like, what beliefs are causing your life to be this way. And then we take apart those beliefs and get rid of them. And, the people that I work with realize that, wow, I didn't realize that I believed that. Like, wow, I didn't realize how that didn't serve me to believe that. And then, so once we take it apart, now we can rebuild a new belief system based on what you want to have in your life, and then creating a new belief about what you want to have in your life, or be in your life, or create in your life.
That is awesome. What do you say to the people that, because I know you probably have them, the people that, would say, well, my mama had diabetes, and my daddy or my grandma or whoever, these people in my lineage have diabetes. Mm-hmm. So how could I have created that?
Well, you foster it. So you have a genetic predisposition for it based on your parentage. But you can either exacerbate that, or you can keep control of it. So yes, you have a genetic disposition, but that doesn't mean that it has to control your life. If you choose to make diabetes a non-issue, it can be a non-issue. You can live with it, you can live comfortably with it, and it doesn't have to be a limitation. And that's really what this is all about, is most of us have beliefs that completely limit us, or we believe they limit us, and that's not true. We allow them to limit us. They don't have to. If I, okay, so here, how I feel like my happy ever after part of this kidney cancer story is that when they diagnosed, they did the biopsy on the kidney, and they told me when I was home waiting to see what the results of the biopsy were, they said, if we find that there are cancer cells that traveled outside of the kidney, then we will, have to do, more treatment, etc. Depending on where we find that the cancer cells travel to. But the miracle was that all the cancer cells had been contained and stayed in that kidney. They called it an encapsulated kidney. So what happened was my left kidney took over and the right kidney shut down. So they found no proof that any of those cancerous cells had traveled outside of my kidney. And that was the miracle that saved my life. Now, they also told me that I would have to keep getting checkups for the rest of my life, because if one of those cancer cells had traveled outside and is laying dormant someplace in my body, that sometime during my life, it could be triggered and I could have a cancerous growth that would pop up someplace in my body. So after 5 years, I said to my doctor, ooh, would this be considered like I'm on the road to being cancer-free? And he said, you'll never be 100% cured from this, because, one of those cancer cells could be laying dormant in your body. So after 18 years, last year, my doctor said to me, 18 years, wow, that's a long time. I think we can use the word cure now. And I said, what? Oh my God. I said, after 5 years, you told me that wasn't possible. And he said, well, first of all, we've been able to do a lot more research about this over the 18 years. But secondly, if in 18 years you have not had a reoccurrence anywhere, he said, I think that's as close to a cure as we're going to get. And for me, that was a confirmation that I had healed all of my wounds, that I had gotten rid of the negative energy of my body and healed my wounds, because in 18 years, nothing. The only things that have happened to me have been good stuff: self-evolution, self-healing, manifesting more abundance in my life, more love, more wonderful people, more money, just everything better in my life over these 18 years.
Yes. So what was the process that, you went through as you were healing? Because I think that's important for people to know that, you didn't just say, I'm going to read Louise's book and then I'm going to do what she said. And then that's going to be it.
Of course, it's never it, because you have to unlearn. All of us have these beliefs that we created in our childhood.
Yes.
Based on an immature brain. Okay, so I'll give you an example. So here's a story about two little boys. So two little boys named Bobby and Stephen. Okay, so Bobby lived next door to Stephen. Stephen lived in a house with a red door. And every day, Bobby would always go over and play at Stephen's house because Stephen had better toys. And so Bobby would always knock on the door with the knock on the house with the red door. And the mom would open the door and he would go in and play with his friend Stephen. Well, one day, Stephen's mom was trying on some costumes for a Halloween party. And she was dressed up as a scary monster. And she forgot to take off her mask and her outfit. And she opened the door and Bobby was there and he immediately, got scared, like, oh my God, it's a scary monster. And he ran away. So of course she had to go after him and explain, take the mask off, blah, blah, blah. But in his immature brain, all he remembered was open red door, something very scary there. So he evolved to believe that there's something bad about red. Okay, so as a little kid, he wouldn't wear red. He wouldn't go any place where there was something red in the room. He wouldn't eat red food. He wanted nothing to do with the color red. And then he grew up as an adult and he still wouldn't wear red clothes, didn't like the color red. And it got to a point where he was out house shopping with his wife. And they found this wonderful house that was perfect in the perfect neighborhood at the perfect price. And everything about it was just wonderful, but it had a red door. And he said, I don't know what it is about this house, but I just don't like it. I don't like this house. And his wife was like, it's the perfect price. It's the perfect neighborhood. It's the perfect everything. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just don't like it. He didn't realize that it was all about, he never went back and said, why do I don't like the color red? Why do I hate this color red? He never went back and tried to remember what the original belief was about red. And every single one of us has a red door in our life that at some point as a child, we thought something meant something that it doesn't. As an adult, if we go back and look at it, we realize, oh no, that's not what it means at all. But we carry those beliefs with us as we grow into adulthood, and we don't understand why we believe something, but we just know that we believe that, and it's our reality. So my process was going back, and I listened to, I know we were talking before, you and I, Tammi, about how many books we have and audio books, tapes, whatever.
Yes.
What I did was when I started recuperating from my kidney surgeries, I would go walking, and every day I would go walking with some audio because I knew I had to retrain my brain. And so every day I put new, better information in my brain to disprove what I believed about myself, that I wasn't such a failure, that I wasn't such a terrible person, that I wasn't all the terrible things I believed about myself. And I just kept listening until I kept having all these aha moments like, wow, that's not what that means. Really? I'm not really bad. I am really loved. And every day, you can't just sit down, read a book and say, okay, I'm going to do this, like you said, and then your life is different from that moment on. It's taking what you're learning and then putting it into your day, like reconstructing how you do your day, reconstructing when you have a thought that you used to just take for granted, like you stop, you catch yourself and you say, wait a minute, is that true? Like, someone says something, they criticize you or whatever. And inside you're getting angry because that person is criticizing you. And you learn to say, wait a minute, this is their stuff. I don't have to believe what they just said about me. This is their stuff that they're spouting. That's not really true what they said about me. That's not true. I don't have to take that on. And so you learn how to stop yourself when you find yourself getting into that emotional piece, and you go, wait a minute, what's the truth here? Is that true? No, that's not true. I'm not going to buy into that. So it's a process, little by little, but you have to keep feeding your brain with this information, and then taking what you read or listen to, and then creating a new way to do your life with that new information.
Yes, that is so crucial and powerful, because the thing is I think that a lot of times, because, you know, when we're children, we are the most connected. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we have people that come behind us that tell us we didn't see what we saw, or we didn't hear what we heard, you know, or those imaginary friends are not real. You know, they might probably be, you know, your guides or your angels, you know, part of your spiritual team. But you got people that are telling you, and they're big people. Mm-hmm. You know, you're a little person, and they're telling you, oh, you know, that's not real. Yeah. You know, or what's the other one? Get your heads out the clouds. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, all these things. And so, you know, it would be quite natural that, you know, you would have these beliefs, you know, and they transcend every area of our life. I think that's the part that I'm listening to, you know, what you're saying is like, this transcends every part of your life. Yes. And then why can't it transcend diseases and illnesses and sicknesses? Because it depends on what you believe. Exactly. This is like amazing, because it's like, I feel this so strongly, especially for our generation, because what I'm noticing is that people are dropping dead in their 50s left and right. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 50s, 60s, mid 40s. So much stress out there. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling people, I'm like, we're not supposed to be dying like that. No. You know, I had my mother actually said something one day to me that hit me. She said, I called her and I was checking on her to see how she's doing, because she's across the country. I'm in Washington. She's in Georgia. And so I was calling her and I was like, hey, you know, what's going on? Everything good? You know, because, you know, that's how you have to do. Then you find out who died. But she's like, yeah, she's like, we're good. You know, I said, okay. She said, you guys are the ones that's dying. That's what my mom said. She said, you guys are the one that's dying. Yeah. So y'all need to probably deal with y'all stress. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I said, she's right. Yeah. Because it's transcending all socioeconomic groups. It doesn't matter if you have money or don't. You know what I mean? People are just dying, and it's sad, because we died, you know, 50 was old in the 20s, in the 50s even. Mm-hmm. You know, if you were 50, you were old. Holy moly, yeah, I know. Right? But now people are living. I mean, I have a resident where I work that he was 101. He just passed away. Oh my gosh, God bless him. And he wasn't even, I mean, I don't think he was like, he didn't have any conditions, because he didn't take any meds except for Tylenol and ibuprofen. Wow. Yeah. I mean, and he, you know, he probably had something going on, because he kept falling, but, you know, but he was 101, you know what I mean? And then I have another one, he is 107, and he beat the COVID. Oh, wow. God bless him. Wow. Beat the COVID. Yes. And every night this poor man cries out and asks God to take him, because he's ready to go. His wife passed away, you know, like last year, I think it was. And so he's, you know, of course, missing her, because they've been together 70, 80 years or whatever it was. Yeah. And so every night he's asking God to take him. 107. Wow. And still in his mind, you know, everything is like, you know, I'm like, wow. So why? You know, my question is why? And I laugh, because like you, 50,000 books, I'm always reading. I have to tell myself, shut it down. No, you're not doing that today. No, you're taking a break. Your husband's off. You guys are off. You're going to go do something, because you just have this insatiable desire to learn and understand, why this is so. For me, I'm like so passionate about it because I have seen so many of my friends, die. And I know that it was nothing but stress.
Yeah.
I laugh because I hate when somebody calls me like that I don't hear from in a long time and stuff. I already know it's like, okay, who died? And they'll say, so-and-so we used to work with, they died. I'm like, what? Stress, and I'm like, okay, so something has to give. And then the other part is, just like you said, people believe that they have to have these things that are going on in their life, these illnesses. People believe it. And I get such a kick out of when I talk to people and they start telling me, about their laundry list of, diseases that maybe they inherited from whoever, and it tickles me because I say, my grandfather was diabetic on my mom's side, and my grandmother is diabetic on my dad's side, has been since before I was born, insulin dependent. But am I going to be? Hell no. Why? Because I believe that I'm not.
Yeah.
And every time they come and they do, like, you do your A1C and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, your A1, my doctor said your A1C is a little elevated and I would have to call you pre-diabetic. I said, no, the hell you're not.
No. Well, diabetes is about not enjoying your life.
Yes, exactly.
So that's resistance to joy. Diabetes.
Yes.
So, you clearly are a person who has great joy for their life. So
right.
You may have, like I said before, you may be genetically predisposed for that, but you're not going to feed it the negative energy it needs to manifest.
Yes. That's the piece.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you feeding your life? That is so good. Oh my God. Yeah. What are you feeding your life? Because the thing is you can feed it positivity, or you can feed it negativity, or you can feed it something in between. That is so powerful. So I want to talk one more thing before we shut down, but I wanted to just ask about your book, and I wanted you to share a little bit about the motivation that you had for writing it, and who you wrote it for.
Well, I wrote it based on all the learning that I have to make my life better. The questions that I asked myself as I was going through the process of breaking down my belief system. Is this true? If I don't like what is going on in my life, if one of the many persons that I listened to audiobooks and read was Wayne Dyer, and
love him,
say, look around you. If you don't like what you see, you can change it. You've created. If you don't like what you see, know that you created that based on what you believe, and you can change that. So the first thing we do in the book is, and this is the first thing I do, like, so if I don't like this the way it is, what do I want it to be? So first you have to have a vision of, well, what do I want it to be? And once you create that vision, then it's like, well, how come I don't already have that? And then that's where we get into the beliefs. Well, you don't have that because you believe blah, blah, blah about yourself. So then how do I get that? Okay, well, we deconstruct what you believe and we reconstruct new beliefs based on what you do want. And so you don't ever pay attention to the things you don't want. You give all your attention to what you want to create in your life. And that's really what the book is about. And it takes you through the process. And so that book is really the process that I went through to make my life better and to heal my wounds and to create a happy ever after life.
That's
That was
powerful.
I wanted to share what I learned because it's just been so powerful for me. I wanted to share that with the world. I mean, everybody has a red door.
Yes.
And I would like to erase all the red doors in everyone's life. I mean, imagine if we all believed that we were the best, that we deserve love, that we deserve everything that we want in our life, and that we can have it. Imagine what a happy, fulfilled world we would all be around. I guess from a selfish standpoint, I want everybody to feel the way I do, because then there's no negativity around me.
Yes, 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 yes. That piece. Yeah. I feel you completely, because I just dove into human design a little bit, and I found out my design. And so that's actually exactly how I feel, because I'm a reflector. So, I don't even do negative people, and I didn't realize why until I found out about that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is why. Because I mean, seriously, as I've been on this journey, when I'm even around negative people, it affects me. And I'm like,
once you realize that you've been part of what we believe negativity is, we take on other people's beliefs. We take on other people's negative energy because we're not strong enough in the belief about ourselves to say, no, I don't want that. We go, we don't feel confident enough to know that we don't have to believe what they believe, whether it's our mother or our father or a relative or a friend or, a significant other. We don't have to believe that. And that's where the process is getting strong enough to say, you know what? That does not serve me. I do not want that negative energy around me. And once you make that decision and you say, no, I'm only going to surround myself with positive energy and people that exude positive energy, your world completely changes. Then you start manifesting people who will contribute to positive energy in your life. And the toxic people start to go away, and they'll say things to you like, you've changed. Yep, I have. I don't need that. I don't need your toxic energy
anymore.
Yeah.
What do the memes say on Facebook? Period.
Yep. Don't need that toxic energy anymore.
No, it's good. You're like, you know what? You're good. You're good.
And
I'm good. I'm good.
It's not like I have to say, you're a bad person because you have toxic energy. That's their journey. And I don't need to judge them. I just say, you know what? I think that our synergy doesn't work anymore. So I'm just going to kind of be by myself. I don't want to tell them that they're a bad person because all that does is contribute to their negative belief about themselves and be more negative.
Right.
But I will say, if you want to learn what I've learned, I'm happy to teach that to you. But if you don't want to learn what I have learned to make myself happier, then I don't think that we work together anymore, because you're right. I have changed, and then I'll take the blame. I've changed.
Look, it's me, not you.
It absolutely is.
So did you have any blowback from, say, like your family or anything when you started on this journey and this process, and even doing the work?
There was never specific blowback. I think in the beginning, my husband was like, I think I'm going to just pay attention to this. He wasn't resisting it, but he certainly wasn't jumping on the bandwagon. But he allowed me to do whatever I needed to do to heal myself and be happier. And what he will tell me now is like, wow, he would say to me, you're such a different person. You're so much happier now. And every once in a while, like he still doesn't want to jump on the bandwagon with both feet, but every once in a while, I'll hear him say something to somebody else that I've said about being positive or whatever. And I'll say to him, what did you just say? And he said, he goes, you get to me through osmosis. It comes to me through osmosis. Okay, however it needs to.
Whatever works.
Whatever works. So little by little, he takes on, some of the learning, but he hasn't really embraced doing that, looking in the mirror and seeing what you don't want in your life. He hasn't done that process. He just takes pieces and, he's definitely in a much better place. And then my children have, just because they were young enough when I kind of went through the process, they just kind of have adapted and soaked up all the positive energy. And just, there was a lot of chaos and anger in my home when my kids were little, because I was chaotic and I was angry. But when I started healing myself and being more positive and more loving to me, I could be more loving to my kids. I could bring more love around me, more joy, more fun. And my kids grew up in a better place. And I'm so happy that I was able to make those changes, because now my kids as adults are much better for it.
I agree with that. I agree. Same. I agree. It's like, and people don't realize how much their kids are affected by them.
Oh my gosh.
The way that they are.
Everything.
I tell people all the time, young mothers especially, they'll come to me and I'll say, your kids are reacting off of you.
Yeah.
So if you're crazy,
energy, you don't have to say anything.
So I tell them, if you're crazy, your kids are going to be crazy.
They pick up on your energy.
Yes. And it's a good thing if you do like what you did, how you transformed and changed that, and how you, foster that type of positive atmosphere and environment in your house. Yeah. It makes such a difference, because it's like, I laugh. I tell people all the time, they're like, well, what are your kids? I'm like, well, my kids are woo. They're woo. I said, so if I say something, about, because they'll be like, well, mom, what do you think about so-and-so? And I'm like, well, I don't really like the energy of that, or blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh, okay, But I laugh. I said, other kids would be like, what? What's she talking about?
What does she mean?
What's she mean by that? What does that even mean? But yeah, so I think that's amazing. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to shut this down, because this is such an amazing conversation. I could have it for you for another hour. But just share with the people how they can connect with you. And also, if you have any type of program that you're trying to fill or anything like that, you can share that as well.
Okay. So if you go to patriciaheitz.com, that is my main website that has everything about my book. And I also do workshops. And I will be starting a new 6-week workshop where my book is 1 chapter a week. So we take 1 chapter, you get the book included, and we do 1 chapter every week. We go through it, and then you go and do your life based on the new information. And then we come back the following week and say, okay, how did you do your life differently now? Like, what aha moments did you have? What did you learn? What did you get stuck on? Whatever. And then we review that, and then we start the next chapter. And then you go back and you take the next chapter and you put that into your life. And we do that for 6 weeks. And I'm doing it online, but I also do it. I love to do it in person more, but during COVID, we weren't able to do it in person. So we started doing it more online, and people have told me how life-changing it has been, and how the last class that I did, ironically, the universe works in strange ways.
Yes.
Ironically, I had 3 women in my class who 2 of them had sons who had substance abuse issues. And the 3rd one had a son with autistic issues. But in all 3 cases, it was about, how can I communicate better with my son? How can I get them to understand what is the best for them and have them make better choices for their life, etc. And it was just so thrilling to have them come back at the end. Like, even each week when they would come back, I know the mother, especially with the one son who had substance abuse, he was in rehab. And she said, after I think the 3rd week, she said, I just had a conversation this week with my son for the first time, and I can't remember how long, that was positive. It was loving. And at the end of the phone call, he actually said, "I love you, Mom." She said, "I haven't heard him say that in such a long time." And she said, because I was able to speak with him from a loving place, because I understood in trying to, like berate him for, being in a substance abuse, whatever, and, fighting with him and resisting everything. She said, I learned to accept that this is who he is, and that it means nothing about me, but that my job is to help him find his gifts and to find the best part of himself. And she said, when we started having that conversation in a different place, it meant everything. So it's amazing what, for them, it was about learning how to do them better so that they could communicate better with their children who had some serious issues. And I feel like every time I put a group together, there's always a theme. There's always a connecting theme. And it's so cool that the universe brings people together and connects, and you actually learn from each other in the group as well.
That's awesome. I love that. I love it. I love it. All right. So this has been just amazing. Like I said, I have enjoyed it so much. And always, I don't know about anybody else that does podcasts, but I always learn something from each and every guest that I have. And I love it. And I think that's probably a part of, the reason why I love it so much. Because I also, am able to have awesome conversations with people that I may not have talked to, in another place.
Yeah.
And so I just feel like it's just amazing. And this one has not disappointed. And I was looking forward to it.
I'm so glad.
So much that I tried to do it yesterday.
I just love to have these conversations because I'm so passionate about this. My life has been completely changed, and I just want everyone to have a happy life like I have.
I was going to say, you glow up when you talk about it.
Oh, thank you.
I just see your glow up. I'm like, look at this girl. She is glowing. But that's what transformation does. And that is so powerful to me. It's like, as you transform and as you help other people in their lives transform, what could be greater?
Yeah, nothing.
What is the greatest thing?
It's a thrill.
Yes. So again, thank you for joining us wherever you're listening to this, or if you're watching it on Movable TV. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. But I just want to let everybody know that this is such an amazing, beautiful woman with an amazing spirit. And so if you are looking and you are wanting to connect with somebody to get help, in this area that she's talked about, then you want to reach out to her, jump on her website, connect with her on Facebook, right?
Yeah. Daydreams Come True is the name of my book. And I have a web page, a Facebook page called Daydreams Come True. So
you might want to reach out to her and see because I think the book is amazing, but I believe probably it would be the most helpful to do her group program.
Yeah.
Because I think it's like having a guide. So anyway, thank you so much for joining us. Have a wonderful rest of your day, night, weekend, whenever you catch this. And I just really want to give a shout out of gratitude to Patricia for coming on here and just, being so free and so open. It's just an amazing space that I try to cultivate. And I'm just super grateful that she's just walked on in and she's brought her goodies. So you guys grab her goodies, jump on her website, connect with her, and see if she's somebody that can help you, somebody that, can show you a different path and a different way. So again, thank you for joining us on Straight Out of Savannah, talking with Tammi. Bye now.
Bye. Okay.
I know you've been blown away with the amazing value here today. Now go out and inspire the planet. And be sure to send us a message when you're ready to come talk about it on Straight Out of Savannah, talking with Tammi.